$3,361. People are losing interest. People, and the conversation is going from 4-year cycle, the expected bottom September, October, till will Bitcoin even ever recover? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and we're going to go ahead today and take a look at what is going on with Bitcoin, expectations for when we see the actual breakout that is coming. I want to remind you right now that our positioning is short Bitcoin. How is it possible we could be talking about the breakout is coming and at the same time be short Bitcoin? We trade Bitcoin off of the 8-hour time frame. Currently, we are seeing right now that Bitcoin is obviously in a downtrend. Right now that we're seeing momentum in that downtrend is leveling off, fading out, and we have entered a short position. However, there is no kick in that momentum to the downside yet, and already we have a stop exit pending, now locking in a trailing stop loss of 1.3%. If the trade does not go in the direction that you plan on it going, the whole idea is to cut your losers short. The whole idea is to hold on to your winners, to push them and capture the gains when the market gives it. We are currently right now short Bitcoin on a small time frame. Zooming out with you all, I'm saying, look at this, and it's undeniable that in the past, and it's a very common pattern that we see across markets, a very common pattern is you see bear markets enter into wedge, and then eventually when they do break out to the upside, and notice I'm not saying that that is going to happen in the 4-year cycle window, and that means that it's going to happen in October. And just like the seasonalities so far, those August midterm year seasonalities have gotten started on the wrong foot. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't see an abrupt about face. We continue to see the VIX move down towards yearly lows. People think, well, that means that the markets are about to see some exciting fireworks, and the bears have been holding on to the same drama over and over and over again for the past few years. What is going to happen and when remains to be seen. We use a mechanical system with an edge to make sure we stay on the right side. And then we use our technical analysis, CTM 1.0, to go ahead and align that with the macro in order to make sure we stay on the right side. A lot of people do believe that right now, and this is a turn I've never seen before in Bitcoin personally. Now, there are the, maybe not. I'm reminded of what happened in 2018, 2019, and a lot of people did think that Bitcoin was actually not going to be able to recover. So I digress. However, right now we're seeing a change in tone where a lot of people are believing the question should not be, will Bitcoin bottom in the 4-year cycle? The question is, will Bitcoin be able to recover? I'm reminded what it was like to be a gold bug. And I do believe, and I've shared it with you before, that the whole reason I was able to understand the bullish case for Bitcoin was for really well on embracing and understanding what hard money was, if you would call it the bullish case for gold. And during this particular period over here, you went through a 10-year period. This is more or less a lost decade. A lost decade. Remember coming out of 2000, the dot-com bubble, and through 2010, there was not a new all-time high on the NASDAQ S&P 500 for a 10-year period. Fantastic trading range on both sides during that period. More importantly, that period taught a lot of people what it meant to be a tough, balanced trader. I think then we went from a period of 2008 and then to 2021, where literally outside of a brief period in late February, early March, through March 2022, when they locked down the globe and there was massive, the markets are crashing. I even turned our meme upside down. The markets are not crashing to the markets are crashing right now. Hold and push your positions. We're able to reverse that at the end after a couple of weeks and then be like, Powell just flooded the system. Buy only. During this particular period, a lot of people lost interest in gold. A lot of people lost, so much so that after you saw 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts to break above 2000, most people didn't believe that it was possible, which is why I said when we called the super cycle in gold beginning that that gold is not going to stop at 2,500, and I'll see you at 5,000, and then we'll reevaluate. Here we are. Now, same thing happening in Bitcoin right now. A lot of people have absolutely lost interest. And I think that one of the reasons why is because that correlation that they told you that Bitcoin just performs like a high beta risk asset. Meanwhile, you're seeing during the AI build out massive run up of tech stocks. Now, breadth is becoming strong. S&P 500 at new all-time highs. Where is Bitcoin? Everyone has lost interest because Bitcoin is boring, because the correlation that they told you that was there, so many narratives, all so wrong. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is a debasement against the underlying, the fiat. At the end of the day, they're going to keep devaluing the underlying. At the end of the day, we are going to see Bitcoin once again rise. However, right now, the focus should and rightfully is on where the money is flowing, and that is into the AI build out. Try to bring focus over there right now. I can say we're short on Bitcoin on a small time frame. However, at the same time, we're looking at, we're pretty long and strong in the stock market. We saw our Tesla short go ahead and capture 13.5%, closing out yesterday. We saw Google close out 3.5%. Amazon still holding that trade. It's a very, very wide stop loss on Amazon. FNGU, 3 times levered, FANG Plus, shooting up over here up into double digits in just over a week. T-Triple-Q joining the party over here, getting close to double digits. And NVIDIA, as we move towards earnings, is holding strong. We want to be where the momentum is. We trade Bitcoin and crypto and select tech, whether or not you're looking at indexes, T-Triple-Q, FNGU, Amazon. We have hyperscalers now with Amazon and Google. Strategy, a play on Bitcoin, levered Bitcoin. And obviously, we have over here, has not yet entered the market in a while, GBTC. All right, modeled on GBTC. Many people trade it on IBIT. And then I was going to take a look at with y'all really quick what's going on over here. We got the wrong ticker over here. It's on Bitcoin. Let me go ahead and put in IBIT. See how close we are. See how close we are to potential entry. Throughout this bear market over here, you remember when we talked about Bitcoin bull runs has exited the market. Bitcoin was at $114,000. People did not take that signal serious. Why? Oh, we could just buy and hold. We could just buy and hold and assume that price is going to go up and to the right. Jordan, you're bullish on Bitcoin. You just said long term, Bitcoin is going to do Bitcoin things. Yeah, but I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know. And I am not willing at any point in time to take the risk of just going ahead and saying, well, I believe this is going to happen and therefore. We've seen a big washout recently in Bitcoin. We've seen some really, really horrific things occur as far as the cold card saga. Absolutely devastating. I'm reminded of what was happening back in December 2022. First, the 3 hours washout. Then we saw BlockFi devastation, FTX, Scammy Sam. We saw devastation. And at the bottom, most bleakest time, 17,250 bull market breakout. Nobody believed it. CTM was all over it. Are we calling a breakout here? No, but it does look very much like a bottoming process is underway. A bottoming process that began over here on the capitulation into February, early February. And then you could see since then, through May, through today, we've seen that bottoming process continue to develop. Bottoming processes are usually slow. They're not often quick. Sometimes they're quick. If you look at what happened in March 2020, there were many other dynamics, most importantly, the BitMEX dynamics at that particular point in time. Is there another leg down because everyone is looking for the massive leg down? Maybe. there very could well be. We're short Bitcoin. I could jump over and say, all right, I was looking at IBIT to see when that goes long. And well, you know what? It's pretty much around if we were to break out of this range over here. Right now, we could see Bitcoin under pressure. Like I said yesterday, I don't know if we touch the resistance or break down further, go ahead and take out another liquidation, or sometimes, like you saw, sometimes on the breakdown of a wedge, you get that exhaustion gap. That's the clearest sign of an exhaustion bottom happening. That doesn't always happen over here. What matters next is whether or not we break out from the wedge to the upside. And if we are breaking out and it doesn't align with your 4-year window, make sure that you stay on the right side, because the move out of it could be so quick that it could leave people behind. It could leave people behind. Same thing on the downside. Just because we break down, and even if it's an exhaustion, you don't go ahead and just position into it. Yeah, amazing time to even gear up your dollar cost average size. It seems like the right thing to do. It seems smart, but we're waiting right here as we continue to consolidate within this wedge for a resolution. I don't know when that resolution comes. I don't know whether it happens and lines up with the 4-year cycle window. A lot of people must be wondering what's going on. I was told that August is going to be a washout, and we have we have S&P 500 printing new all-time highs. By the way, quick move over, and it's interesting to see. We now have the semiconductors breaking out. We now have memory breaking out pretty strongly today. And then we have, you could see the anti-correlation continues between the Mag 7 memory and semiconductors. When semiconductors are moving up, you're seeing FANG move down, the Mag 7 move down. That continues. I'm waiting to see if we return towards a period of semis strongly moving, Mag 7 strongly moving. Same thing over here, memory strongly moving. That would be a clear sign of the bull market absolutely strongly resuming. We don't see that today. We're seeing, obviously, off of inflation data back to back, PPI coming in below expectations today, yesterday CPI. We're seeing, and it's already in action. We move towards next week, towards Wednesday, towards the FOMC meeting minutes, and already the Fed speakers in this period of quote unquote no forward guidance are going ahead and trying to set the stage. If you saw the headlines this morning, first we have Fed's Hammock saying, I think we need to move right away, right now. We need to go ahead and we need to go ahead and talk about raising rates. And then you see over here at the same time, Barkin saying, I don't know. We've had a pretty poor labor market data. It's quite vulnerable. We're seeing inflation coming in pretty benign, even though it's been elevated for 5 years. And when Powell decided to go ahead and lower rates ahead of the election, we weren't really concerned that for years we've had higher than expected inflation. But now, and I don't know if it's all just scripted drama or not. I don't know if that, don't forget, Wash is not, he might be the head. He's not the only voting member. I don't know if we're going to see very political, let's say, voting happen in this new era of a new Fed chair, or whether or not they're just trying their best to go ahead and keep the market guessing and making sure that they have opposing views. We might see that in the Fed minutes. The market's reaction is going to be very, very important as we move towards it. You could see, though, with the benign, and that changes quickly. Don't forget, China's moving back towards refilling their reserves. There seems to be no sign of any type of resolution that's happening in the Strait. Right now, at least, there doesn't seem to be any kinetic wars being fought. However, we're seeing a lot of posturing, verbal posturing coming out from the Iranians. We're seeing less and less coming out from Truth Social, from President Trump. It seems that the U.S. plan right now is just to uphold the blockade until the Iranians cave. The Iranians are posturing that they're digging in for the long haul, and they don't plan on even actually coming to the table until President Trump leaves office. We'll find out in the weeks and months ahead what exactly transpires. But one thing that we have to worry about, if at any point in time we see oil break out. And here we have a nice little trend line that I'm watching over here. A breakout above here is likely going to send oil to a point where it's going to cause demand destruction. That's a macro factor that you need to keep watch of. Another one I pointed out coming in December, everyone was like, oh, the Bank of Japan is about to crash the markets. There's going to be a system reset. Buy Ripple. I was like, no, there's going to be a non-event. Don't even think about it. Don't even worry about it. And then in January, I said, watch out what happens with the yen in 2026. That could be a macro factor that goes ahead and has ramifications for the market. So far, that's not transpiring. I continue to watch. We've set our lines. I don't need to, I'm just bringing it into your as a reminder right now. Do we have any type of return of Goldilocks? Seeing earnings continuing to improve. We have to continue to watch that. That's one factor. I'm undecided about the AI build out. I told you in the past, a long time and early, watch what happens if anyone pulls back on CapEx spending. However, that might be received favorable right now for some market participants, specifically the hyperscalers, if they were to do that. Obviously, you then would see likely memory, semiconductors pull back at that particular point. It seems like right now that everything here is suggesting that earnings look good, breadth is improving. People are talking about the VIX being low as an alarming signal. Let's go ahead and take a look at that together. Let's go ahead and I'll take a look at the weekly, right? And people are focused in on really the 2026. And as we head towards the lowest reading on the VIX since of this year, sorry about that. I come back to 2025. It's not much different. We're towards the lows. All right. 2025, 2026. What's happened during that period? We saw obviously March 2025 as the tariffs were introduced. Massive pullback. Great uncertainty in the markets. We saw over here, again, people call this the Trump seasonalities. It seems to me to align just with seasonalities over the last 10 years of the markets. Nothing to do with Trump. I'm going to go ahead and see if I have a screenshot to pull up of it. I don't see it right now, so I'm not going to go ahead and pull it up. And there we go. And this is looking back, seasonalities, NASDAQ. And you can see that pullback that begins mid-February through March. And it's not Trump seasonalities. It's been the NASDAQ seasonalities. That's played out for the last 2 years. I'm going to go ahead and jump back over here. Maybe we have to go back towards 2022. And you could see throughout the year of 2002, during the bear market, the elevation of the VIX. I don't know. It seems to me that the VIX could actually, this is the bear market, late 2018. It seems to me that, well, the reason the VIX is trading now down towards yearly lows, towards 2-year lows, is because, well, we just got through a really unknown period of the market ahead of the FOMC that was looking to potentially raise rates. Now we're seeing that priced out as job markets has come in, jobs data has come in abysmal, and then we've seen inflation data moving in the right direction. The probability of the Fed hiking in September is being priced out. And then we're seeing earnings, the other window that we were looking at. In the earnings window, we continue to see, wow, earnings continue to improve and guidance continues to move up. And it's not just tech, it's across the board. That's quite bullish. Then we look at things like, well, this bull market has been going on for over 3 years, and historically there's further room to run once you get past 3 years. And then we look at the one catalyst that is not yet out of the way, and that is the Great Strait of Hormuz. That could go either which way. That's probably the biggest factor to be watching right now. Again, if we see oil break out, that's something that could go ahead and put an absolute clip to this bird's wings at any particular moment. What else? Bitcoin. When is Bitcoin going to do Bitcoin things? There's talk. Is it true that the Clarity Act might be up for vote this week? It seems that whether it passes, whether it comes up for vote or not, that the CFTC, that the SEC is looking at putting at firmer guidelines, waiting for lawmakers to align. Is that potentially one of the reasons why Bitcoin has been in decline over the past several months? Does it have anything to do with liquidity? Does it have to do with the quantum factor? Probably a bunch of those things. But we are seeing right now signs that Bitcoin here is getting ready to do Bitcoin things, regardless of you believe in it. And I think some of the most powerful catalysts here are that people that have been in the space for a long time are losing interest. And it doesn't even matter, boys. Early majority is here. I'm sorry. We'll take it from here, son. Thanks for getting us where we wanted to be. Are you going to be here for the ride? Is this what was looked like during 2010 and 2020, the lost decade, 14 years actually, on gold? Or are you using this as a time to accumulate because you've done your homework, you understand your thesis, you understand the monetary system, and regardless, you want to be there to protect yourself? I think what, 4 people signed up, $100,000 to get seconds earlier on the Truth Social Purse. Unbelievable. The fleecing continues by those in charge. Right? We went from a period of everyone going ahead and buying puts to now everyone buying calls. We've seen the market surprise a lot of people, much like the move up in early April. A lot of people didn't think it was coming. Most people are focused out on midterm election seasonalities, and now people are left behind. We're getting close to a particular point where we could see a lot of actual market makers turn this around and give this. If we get above this breakout over here, or have structure over here above 7,900, we're pretty close right now as we move through this window. Again, next Wednesday, we have preliminary GDP numbers, and we also have FOMC meeting minutes. That's going to be a major market hurdle. We're coming into an area. Are we going to consolidate here underneath resistance? If we break above, this thing could push higher and harder. And likely if that's happening, NASDAQ here is going to be challenging its all-time highs as well. We're moving towards a period when Anthropic is looking to come to market for their IPO. And a lot of people are talking about, oh, it's nothing more than a circular AI economy, right? Even more so now, but the banks are getting involved. You see BlackRock joining with NVIDIA, $500 billion financing of the space. Listen, let's see how authentic and sincere people are. If Anthropic comes to market and IPOs looking to do bigger than SpaceX, they're looking at $2 trillion. I told you earlier in the year, watch out because their earnings are going to be front loaded this year in 2026 for the first quarter. You saw things like Uber spending their whole AI budget in the first quarter. You saw things like Microsoft being told that they could no longer use these models, employees. You saw things like Chamath on All In Podcast saying that we're just burning tokens and spending a bunch of money because we have no idea what we're doing, and we're giving people a bunch of money to spend at will. We have to pull back on that. When are the open models coming? I wonder what Anthropic's earnings are, not what they were in the first quarter, not what the yearly ROI was, what they have been month over month now. And I saw signs of them stabilizing. I would like to see that happening here again in July and again in August. If that's happening, that's a pretty good sign. If it's not, that's going to be worrying and alarming to me. However, the point being is you're going to need now it's no longer circular. Once they IPO, you have a new funnel set up over here and it's outside money. I wonder people who are talking about the circular financing going on, $2 trillion IPO, bigger than SpaceX's. Roughly, what does that bring in? I don't know. Is it 60, 70 billion dollars of cash? What are they going to do with that money? They're going to be buying compute, as much compute as they can, right? What is that going to do? Outside money coming in, being poured in here. What about OpenAI? Will they be IPOing afterwards? It's something to watch out for. You can't just embrace one view. You have to go ahead and consider all and then do your best to form an informed. The release of models now is breathtaking. I haven't got a chance. I'm looking forward to also Face's books, new model, better than Quen, allowing you to run locally, some type of like Hermes agent, right? Very capable. Now we see DeepSeek. We continue to see almost at what was a biweekly cadence of new models being brought to market, now almost weekly. Absolutely, absolutely incredible. Could we find a low in Q3? Absolutely. There's no question about it. I have to say, though, it's not dependent on that, and it's not dependent on that in either direction. Just because we enter into the beautiful zone for the 4-year cycle doesn't mean that actually we're going to bottom there. And it's going to be dependent on what's going on with markets. Markets seem to be very fragile, but they look a lot better than they did. We still have a lot of macro factors to consider and watch out for. Always watching what's around us. We want real situational awareness. Situational awareness kind of has almost a double meaning now after Leopold got wrecked. But here we go. So I think you need for Facebook's new model. I think you're safe with about 30 gigs of RAM, and very safe. And unified RAM even better. But for me, it's almost like, okay, I see the direction we continue to move on. People are getting much better at fine-tuning models. People are getting much better at making them efficient for calling on the section they need to call upon at the right time instead of always calling upon it universally. I think that there is the future where, for example, Facebook's model now being able to run on 30 gigs locally, the power of that same 30 gigs 6 months from now is going to be immensely greater. That's what I'm looking forward to. All right, everyone. Joy to be here with each and every one of you. I don't think this is a great question. I don't think OpenAI had a chance. OpenAI seems to be making a comeback of sorts. OpenAI seems like I am finally using Codex, and I was just Claude Code forever, and I've tried on a 3 to 4 month cadence to always use Codex, and it was unusable. I'm using Codex now on a daily basis. You see that Sol 5.6 is extremely competent. I think that OpenAI seems to be making a push, and it is indeed a two-horse race. But look at Grok. Ever since the acquisition of Cursor, Grok now pushing out some credible updates. There's 3 incredible updates this week. And whether or not we are able to see Grok move back and be in the running as a frontier model remains to be seen. And then also you have, don't forget, last week, Alphabet took a major hit. You saw the creators of DeepMind leaving, 4 people on the team leave. But now we find out that Sergey has said, no. And he's taken great interest over the last year, 18 months. He's come back to work because he says this is the single most important moment of time, and we need to be a leader in the AI era. And now he's taking over the team. Gemini has the absolute chance to actually wind up back in this race as well. It's absolutely amazing what's taking place. I'm loving it. You know what? They're gonna, under Sergey, they're gonna be a lot more lenient. They're gonna be a lot more aggressive. And I guess I don't think that we're not going to see Alphabet backing off out of this race. It'll be interesting to see what happens if Anthropic pulls off a successful IPO, where they're going to be spending their money, who's going to be the beneficiary of that, where are they going to be looking to get their compute from. Elon is trying to build out many more gigawatts this year. I don't know. It's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time that we live in. And I'm glad to be here navigating it with all of you. Everyone, God bless you. Thank you for being a blessing. Let's be a blessing in the world. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Time to get back to work.